This week, after playing a little bit of the new Kirby game, I was kind of feeling in the mood to take some cute classic video game characters and redesign them into creepy, cursed-looking versions of themselves, because, you know, that's just how I am. And I figured I might as well take it a step further and record the drawings and add a bit of lore to them and turn it into an extra video for the awesome audience that allows me to have the greatest job in the world. Plus, you know, if I make it into a video, I also make money off it, so there's that too.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
But either way, bonus video this week, taking some classic video game characters and turning them into SCPs. Let's go. Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show.
Good evening, everyone. Today we will be taking a break from our usual lecture on SCPs that fall under the subcategory of SCP-P, and instead we'll be covering some SCPs that fall under SCP-G. While there are similar traits between these creatures, the actual reasoning for labeling them under the SCP-G subheading is classified and only known to those above Level 5 clearance. With that information out of the way, let us get into the first creature of the day. Item number SCP-G055. Object class, Euclid. Though some arguments have been made to change its class to Thaumiel. Special containment procedures. G055 is housed in a cell that spans 3,000 square feet and has been constructed into a maze. While G055 is often fed on the field operations it is brought on, if it has not eaten on such an excursion for a period of 7 days, 10 pounds of cherries and other various fruits are to be placed in its containment to keep it sustained. Repeat this every 7 days until it is brought on another field operation. Description: SCP-G055 is a semi-humanoid jaundiced entity with a large head in place of its torso. Its hands appear like large orange boxing gloves, and its feet seem to resemble clown shoes, though these features are actually part of the creature's physiology. G055 is an entity that is constantly on the move, never sleeping and rarely stopping. It will move around its maze-like containment constantly. Even to eat, it will scoop up its food in a single bite of its massive toothed mouth and continue to move. It will consume anything in its path, but the most unusual and useful thing it is capable of consuming is phantasmal anomalous entities. To put it more bluntly, this SCP can essentially eat ghosts. There are exceptions, but it has been witnessed to consume spiritual entities with more misty, near-invisible forms, as well as those with more slime or mucus-based forms. It was first discovered while Foundation researchers were looking into reports of 4 strange anomalous entities disturbing citizens of the Shibuya district of Tokyo in the late hours of the night. While the field operatives were on the brink of apprehending the 4 entities, G055 appeared on the scene and devoured all 4 of them. It was difficult for the operatives to get G055 back to the Foundation, as putting it into a vehicle made it manic and furious as it did not have enough room to move around, but it was eventually brought in and given housing suited to its desires to traverse consistently. Since being brought in over 40 years ago, G055 has been used to exterminate nearly 300 anomalous entities and has been a true asset to the Foundation. It has harmed personnel on multiple occasions, but these incidents have all been worth the good that has come from having this strange yellow being on our side. Our next SCP keeps us on the theme of creatures that can consume mass amounts of near anything placed before them, but this one takes it a step further. Item number SCP-G006. Object class, Keter. Special containment procedures. G006 is to be kept in a standard containment cell. It is only to be fed dry toast or any equivalently bland or uncomplicated food. Only D-class personnel with no unique or above-average abilities or skills are permitted to enter and deliver said food. Description: G006 is a pink orb with slimy skin and very short limbs protruding from it. Its body has the consistency of chewed bubblegum, and it can stretch into all manner of shapes and sizes. It has 3 long tongues and a large mouth. Through this mouth, it can inhale so deeply and strongly for such a long time that it can pull massive objects towards it and swallow them whole. It will do this to consume sustenance, but more concerning, it will do this to consume beings or entities with abilities it desires to possess. You see, if this creature consumes a person with, say, phenomenal skills at a certain sport, basketball for instance, G006 will then have this same skill until it chooses to vomit up the person or being it consumed. It will lose this ability, and more often than not, the person who it had briefly consumed will be mentally traumatized and unable to regain their full faculties. It seems to only take on the most dominant or impressive trait of the being it absorbs, or the most unique ability. This, of course, was fascinating to Foundation experts. When the creature was first brought in, we tested it by placing it in containment with various other SCPs. When placed in containment with SCP-682, also known as the unkillable reptile, G006 consumed the creature and its very form changed. A skull-like head appeared on it, resembling 682's head, and G006 became as indestructible as the unkillable reptile. After a few moments, it vomited up 682, who, as usual, was furious with us for experimenting on it, and G006 was retrieved from its containment. More trials were done until G006 was introduced to SCP-131, the iPods, which this creature violently attacked. Something about 131 really set this creature off, but we only found out what sometime later. You see, after being in containment for some time, G006 consumed a brilliant doctor who'd gone into its containment to study it, and G006 then temporarily gained her genius-level intelligence. It became able to speak and regaled us of the story of its past. It had come from another galaxy where it protected the beings of its planet against tyrannical rulers and fought off giant eye-shaped beings forged from dark matter. It had no memory of how it had come to our planet, but had vague recollections of being turned into a statue by a giant floating hand, then being forced to face other powerful beings in a brawl to the death. This is an event Foundation experts have looked into and found some information on, but it is a complicated story for another time. Soon after, G006 regurgitated the doctor, and unfortunately her mind never recovered. It is possible that this being becomes an asset to the Foundation in the future, given its abilities and the fact that it will occasionally cooperate with us, but thus far this creature has been found to have incredibly dangerous potential, and our best researchers are vigilantly studying it to see what else it may be capable of, for better or worse. Our final installment for today is not an individual creature, but a full species, a very expansive one whose actual numbers are still unknown. Item number SCP-G2231. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. 4 dozen specimens of G2231 are all housed together in a specialized large-scale containment cell. They are permitted to have various toys and items to play with, but no item with obviously dangerous potential may be left for them to utilize. Description: G2231 is a species of semi-humanoid rabbit, often with skewed eyes and 2 large buck teeth, though they more so resemble small humans in well-crafted rabbit mascot costumes than actual rabbits. The doctor who discovered them was at first convinced that they were an underground horde bent on eventually invading and overthrowing humanity with their overwhelming numbers and seeming indestructibility. The truth was far less maniacal than that. They seem simply to crave activity. If they are given something to do in containment, they'll often not cause any significant trouble except towards the others in containment with them. They are very mischievous creatures who certainly could not be labeled intelligent, but have enough mental faculties to play elaborate pranks on one another or on humans and creatures they come into contact with. They seem able to entertain themselves with near any item given to them, from blocks to stuffed animals to even plungers, making it easy to keep them busy and has meant they can border on being classified as safe. While we do have many in containment being watched and studied, it would be impossible for us to contain them all in a Foundation facility, as there are thousands, if not tens or hundreds of thousands of them in various underground tunnel systems all around the world. Luckily, they mostly stay confined to their tunnels, and on occasions when they do rise to the surface, we've thus far been able to administer amnestics to the people who came across them. The average specimen of G2231 are around 4 feet tall, but there are others of the species that are much larger than the standard. Some can reach over 10 feet tall with burly brown furred bodies, instead of the common white fur, though these are much more rare and seem to follow the directions of the other more common members of the species, despite having an obvious size and strength advantage over them. This species' sole form of verbal communication is a sound that they frequently make, which I will play a recording of now. There it is. The structure of their society is still confusing to us, but we shall continue to study these odd creatures and discover what exactly makes them tick. That is all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening, everyone, and good night.
Alright, so that Rabbid, I probably could have redesigned it a little bit more, made it a little bit more SCP looking, was kind of cartoony, but besides that, I'm quite happy with how this turned out. That creepy Kirby is weirdly fun to look at. And of course, if you're new to the channel, you might want to go back and check out Monday's video where I took more Minecraft mobs and turned them into fantasy monsters. Similar sort of artwork tone to what I was doing here. Or check out my series of Pokemon as SCPs, because this was my first episode of something as SCPs that wasn't Pokemon. And I do want to do more stuff turned into SCPs or turning SCPs into more things, so give me all the ideas you have for that in the comments. I mean, I have tons of ideas from people in previous comment sections about that, but always open to more suggestions. And besides that, that's all for today, except of course we're ending this video on some kind of positive or uplifting note, and today I want to leave people with a quote from the Buddha, which is that each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. I love treating every day like a new opportunity to live a great life regardless of what bad things might have happened the day before. I hope that's helpful to someone out there. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Friday. Goodbye.